Wildcard with their new organization here in the Rainbow Six Pro League, and it is Villa where we make our home.
Right, so the first ban to come out from Oddity would be Jackal, which, I mean, they don't
That
want
is their standard ban.
Yeah, that's
they
the
ban
standard
all
one.
the time. They always ban Jackal. Oddity really like to let their roamers have that level of freedom. And a map like Villa, where you can roam down in the basement, removing Jackal's ability to hunt for Prince really makes sense to me.
Now, Maverick ban, pretty much self-explanatory. They want to force the attack whenever they're going to be going on defense to ensure to need to use either Hibana or Thermite. And look at this, all of those bans are just flying through. Maestro and Echo to be banned out on the defensive side. Somewhat of a stock standard, really. The two very efficient ACOG users on defense won't be seeing any action on Villa.
Yeah, so if these teams have done their homework against each other, this should be a fairly predictable ban phase. Wildcard have banned Maverick a decent amount in the past, usually on Clubhouse though, not specifically on Villa.
Yeah, but Clubhouse is
it's
a
quite
standard
different.
ban for Maverick.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Maverick, we have seen them banned before. That's not crazy out of the question. In fact, they banned Jackal a lot, so it's kind of like Oddity did them a favor with that one.
Yeah.
And Maestro, Echo, it's not common we see both of those banned out. Usually you see one left in, maybe the mirror goes away. But no Maestro, no Echo, that really removes the ability to have that heavy anchor with that ACOG on the automatic weapon.
What is interesting to me is, so Wildcard just banned out a Maverick. So the only hard breacher that can ignore the electrocuted wall.
Yep.
And they are currently starting out on the offense. Did they shoot themselves in the foot by doing that, or whether they already had everything pre-planned and will be able to execute it flawlessly?
Oh, well, they obviously banned out an operator with the knowledge that they're going to have to deal with without that operator. So in this case, it's going to be the Hibana is going to be doing most of the hard breach, and the Thatcher will enable that by destroying the electric thing. But you can use Cade as a trick by throwing it out as soon as the Thatcher grenade goes off, and it will eventually just manage to destroy the Hibana pellets due to the timing.
And it's actually much, well, not much, but slightly easier to actually Kaid trick the Hibana pellets rather than the Thermite charge.
Absolutely, but there's still ways to counter. If you throw down 2 EMPs,
oh yeah, you certainly
then
can.
it will destroy the Kaid charge. So there are counters from Wildcard, but nonetheless, nice little idea. We'll see how these bans affect the teams, and we get into the round. Diesel.wc. It's going to take me a little while to get used to that tag as we see Wildcard start their attack on the north side of the map by taking control of Master.
How many seasons did we see Wildcard rostered to be running under August?
It was since January.
Oh boy. Either way, to kick things off already, just a minute is about to be exhausted and the flashbangs to come out. Vinny is the man to potentially contest the angle. He knows about the repel and will be landing a nice shot onto Derpe. First blood to be drawn, but will be traded out pretty swiftly after being unable to connect the shot onto the second one.
Good reaction time, though, from Wildcard to make that re-entry, get that refrag down. Almost lost a second player, but Neofighter fortunately escapes with his life. And that is control of the north side of the map, top floor gained for Wildcard. A good first step, but Oddity did some damage there, taking out that one player, so not too bad for Vinny.
I'd say trading out a Nomad for a Legion is still going to be a trade in favor of the Wildcard here, considering the fact that there won't be any more of that passive damage that will be dealt by the Legion and stopping some of the rushes. But it seems that it won't be phasing Todd anymore, as the man just decides to, hey, I'm just going to go click head.
But he gets refragged eventually as well by Neofighter. But there's no more hard breach yet for Wildcard, as that Diesel was eliminated. The lack of a Maestro means that the information gathering is really poor on this 90 hallway for Oddity. They had a bulletproof camera which was placed down, but that was swiftly destroyed as it can simply be shot from the side by Wildcard. 3 versus 3 now, no hard breach available. Wildcard will have to blitz into the bomb site without opening up those extra avenues.
The main playmaker, I reckon, here is going to be God Legion, who will be playing from below, as his C4 from below could pretty much mean either win or loss for Wildcard's first round. And as it stands, really, 37 seconds left to go. Things are not shaping up all too swell right now for the attack. C4 to come out, will be getting rid of Neofighter. So just like that, it is all up to Emo and Ethan, and just like that, the Firefights will be able to acquire another kill for God Legion. Ethan to go down, and it is all up to the Emo in the the aim master of Wildcard, but the Kayad will be swift on that kill as Oddity will be claiming the first round.
Good way to kick off the defense for Oddity, as I reckon they shouldn't really be favored here. Sorry, with the fact that both Maestro and Echo are banned, the defense should be struggling at least a little bit. They've lost two really essential operators. Wildcard got a bit of jitters to start things off. They didn't clear those roamers without losing players, and that meant they were low on man count moving later into the round. They didn't have an effective flank watch. They didn't have an avenue to open up into the bomb site, flush out those key positions of Oddity.
I would say that they did clean out initial roamers, but they like you mentioned. But after that, they didn't really have any flank watch, like you mentioned, and that what was hurting them. Neofighter at the end kind of was attempting to pull that off, but didn't really work out all quite well. And yeah, just as it stands, Wildcard just ended up having a bit of an issue taking care of their back, really.
So Oddity will try something slightly unexpected. They'll go to Kitchen before they go to Statuary. I see so many teams these days really prefer that trophy statuary site, even as a primary sometimes. So this is a bit unpredictable for Oddity to try Kitchen first. Not that it should have a huge impact on the operator choices of Wildcard, but they will have to reconsider their push if they were planning for the ultimate objective. There are a lot of similarities between these bomb sites. You still have to take control of that master. Typically we see the attackers go to that top floor, open up angles onto the bomb site, flush out those positions using the vertical play. Often have to deal with this roam, of course, and Oddity are quite good at roaming. They ban the Jackal to allow that flexibility on their roamers as well.
Well, for now, I'm more rather interested about the fact that there were, I believe I counted at least 3 players up above. Well, for now, it is only God Legion who's up above and holding a couple of angles just to ensure that there will be some pressure from above. The issue that I'm seeing is that the master bedroom has been completely given away, and Ethan already managing to find a kill onto Vast, who is the Legion again of Oddity, is not a good start right now for the orange team.
It's a good early pick, and this top floor control just gradually being gained by Wildcard, droning out his key positions. Derp's got to be worried about that flank from the Astro side. Imarin also does have the sledge, so that's a nice way to counter this castle. He's able to swiftly deal with all his armor panels. Gets in control upstairs, and before too long, no doubt, can open up the floor. That's a very strong hatch.
that's a sturdy hatch. I'd like some of that material as well, but seems that Imarin will just decide to wreak havoc on the flooring just for now, forcing Vinny to actually go down to the very bottom floor, and it's only Todd that would be able to respond to some of the aggression, but it doesn't seem that Wildcard are really phased to push anywhere further just yet.
Todd is just waiting for this flank opportunity. In the Oddity versus Fnatic match at the Six Masters, Oddity really did get demolished by Fnatic when Oddity went for their flanks and Fnatic were watching them. Not sure whether Wildcard is watching them as effectively as Fnatic were. Trying to deploy Nomad charges, but there's an ADS right next to Derp, so that chews it up. But Diesel does get that player. That's red. Likely on the bomb site. There is a good shot from God Legion, though, and looks like players from Oddity are allowed to rotate back into the objective.
It is good to see that Ethan did get an opening with the Hibana, but just can't connect the shots. Will be able to actually down the castle, leaving it in a 3v2, and both of the players are just offside. Vinny taking some hefty damage in that pick will be forced to fall back as the diffuser will be going for a plan down. Todd is on site and on the case, but has not exposed his position just yet. He will be able to lurk properly up and around and will be able to get the better of Ethan. It is a 2v2 situation. The disabler has been, the diffuser has been located now, and the pre-fire from Todd might have been able to catch Diesel or Emo off guard here.
2 versus 2 scenario. Todd, time is ticking away. Vinny's trying to drone upstairs, but the defenders are very gradually running out of time. Really, they have to make a move, and there's barely any time for them to make it happen. Still no picks onto the Wildcard players. Immense patience being demonstrated, and it's going to be easy for Imarin to claim the last 2 kills. A great take from Wildcard, not allowing those roamers to have an impact.
Indeed it is, and they managed to keep it kind of stably clear. They didn't overly aggress onto the side, and only when they found a good peak point, like Ethan did, they went for the plant. And that was a good play. That was actually similar to what we saw from, I believe, Fnatic when they were versing Mindfreak on Coastline. They got a little bit more methodical. They taken their time. They took only just the meaningful ground, the one that they needed, not what they've wanted the extra. And from there, kind of essentially proceeded to play from there. Because if you notice, they've taken control of the Master, they've taken control of the Statuary, and they didn't really advance anywhere further onto the stairs from there. They just were holding angles, opened up floor with the sledge, and dropped down into the, I believe that was Laundry, and planted there, while Ethan was distracting with a couple of flanks. So all in all, they didn't even need, per se, to take full control of the map or full control of the top floor.
It's very difficult to take control of the entire map, especially without a Jackal. It's such a large map. But Wildcard, the thing that they're doing that's so essential is holding their flanks really well. And Oddity are kind of relying on their ability to flank 2 or 3 players roaming, and their lack of ability to flank when they were playing against Fnatic in the 6 Masters really was what caused them to struggle, and it seems to be that's still the problem for Oddity here on Villa, at least on their defenses of that kitchen bomb site. But we will see something a little bit different from Oddity this round.
Yeah, they are planning to bring over a mirror this time, which should be a good tool to allow them to go for those peaks, and it will be God Legion actually holding a couple of nice angles, potentially having Vinny as well on the backup. So all in all, this could provide Oddity enough utility and enough ways to essentially pause over the push of Wildcard here.
Yeah, so as we see Wildcard start to try to take study, the Hibana will be utilized to try to counter that mirror window. I believe it's successful. There you go. They do lose that one drone from Neophyter, so Wildcard's drone economy struggling a little bit. They need to check that top stairs, and another player does throw in a drone to make that happen, so Neophyter doesn't need to waste his outside.
I like what I'm seeing right now from Wildcard. They are being very thorough on how they drone. They gather information, but unfortunately, just information is not quick enough, as Neophyter will be going down to a peek from the Valkyrie of Oddity Esports. Kicking things off pretty well, so Thatcher off the board is definitely a very favorable for defense pick. But as it stands already, the games room has been essentially taken control of. Volt, as well as the Aviator, all taking control. So now from there, they need to start making the advancement on the double, because they need as much time as possible to set up the breach, to set up the play, and then go for the plant in a very comfortable time zone.
Yeah, God Legion did get that pick, which really put Wildcard on the back foot. They don't know the position of the Valkyrie. It could still be playing aggressive, and Wildcard's drone economy is not fantastic right now. Derpest still struggling with these ADSs. It's an aggressive play from Oddity, but Derpest just holds his ground. Not very aggressively contesting the angle right now. Wildcard will have to reevaluate.
They certainly will need to, as so far they starting to slowly get themselves over right next to the side, right next to that pressure point where they could potentially be going for. But as it stands, the C4 for Diesel will be ending his playtime within this round, and that is the Hibana off the board. So now Wildcard is forced to go with all the soft breaches and go through all the choke points, and things are not looking all well. The peak from the mirror will be getting there. The push with the C4 will be damaging Nomad, but the flashbangs will be just blinding her, leaving Vast all tagged up and downed, but finally will be finished off. 2 versus 3, and both of the players of Wildcard are heavily tagged up. 10 seconds left to go. The peaks will be coming out. There's the plant as well. Spot opened up. The kill on God Legion will be getting rid of Ethan, and right now the plant will be starting to go down. He needs to stick it, and unfortunately for Derpy, God Legion will be the one to shut him down. Oddity Esports to claim round number 3, and it is a 2-1 scoreline.
I'm actually really impressed that Wildcard managed to push themselves up to that point and almost get that plant down. They were in a 2 versus 4, really unfavorable position. They didn't have much information. And they relied on Derpet to play solo push into that bomb side, dedicated Ethan solely to flank watch, which was a really good idea. I don't know whether that was information or game sense that got Ethan to hold that angle. Really good idea, but unfortunately for him, we didn't obviously see him take that fight with God Legion, but God Legion clearly won that fight. Not sure whether that was just aim-based or whether Ethan was distracted with something else. But a really valiant effort from Wildcard, almost clutching a 2 versus 4 where they really shouldn't have. Oddity, thankfully, are just ahead of the curve there, and they do get back on the upper hand here on their defensive half.
What is quite amusing to me and interesting as well, on the side of Oddity, we saw plenty of times when Oddity Esports had one of their players taken out very early. They were able to reconfigure themselves, kind of recollect themselves, and still win the round and be able to push themselves. And as of recently, that has been a very rare occasion, really, within the Pro League teams. Usually you would see the trend when the team that gets the initial early frag will potentially, well, there's a high chance that they will be winning the round as well. So far, Oddity beating the odds, making the odds theirs.
Our odds.
Yeah, our odds.
Oh man, Todd wants to go for this run out. He did this against Fnatic. It was slightly different, and he got so many frags when he did it against Fnatic, but he doesn't quite commit. Does get detected outside, so they know that he's going for those runouts, but he doesn't actually expose himself, and he stays alive. That's really what matters here. Keeping their confidence up for Oddity is a huge boon. We heard from Specker about how much having your confidence really has an impact here. And if Wildcard get put onto that back foot, maybe they're feeling the pressure with their new organization, that pressure to perform in their first match with the new name. That really could give Oddity the upper hand.
I mean, we saw plenty of times when the team that got picked up by a big org or just a newer org has seen a little bit of that extra pressure being applied to them, all that hype around them, and them needing to prove it. It's certainly going to potentially play in here, considering even though that this is ex-Orgless roster that we're talking about, the team that is consistently top 2, but certainly so far has been a little bit on the back foot, but it seems that finally getting rid of God Legion could potentially open a few possibilities for Wildcard.
Still a lot of roam game for Oddity. They like to use this roam game as much as possible. As we keep talking about, great pinch from Wildcard, though, to take down Todd, get that 90 control. Vast has both of his Electroclaws ready to trick that 90 wall. Good position for Wildcard, but there are a couple more steps that they'll have to go through. They do have the Thatcher, so they can waste these Electroclaws and take control of that 90 wall. So they will deploy the Thatcher and Diesel together.
Yeah, and with the Thatcher, they can also deny any of the ADSs that were there, because certainly there will be plentiful of there, so they will be able to potentially even frag out the Vast as well. There's the C4 to come out, so potentially that could actually work out pretty well.
Damn it, that was really poorly timed, that EMP grenade, but great job from Vast to trick that. He lost both Electroclaws, but despite that nice little play, his team still is falling in numbers. Wildcard, if they muster their confidence, they could probably just refrag this out, especially if they try to take the fight onto the Smoke, who just has the SMG-11, very low mag size.
I'm a bit interested about that position of Derpe, who just returned from what I'm guessing is the flank watch, really. The rest of the Wildcard is just about to collapse onto the side, but I'm curious whether the smoke grenades from Red will be able to do the trick, really, because he's denying so much time. There's the flashbangs coming out. Vast is finally gone down, and the plant will be actually going down. Diesel took a little bit of that damage from the smokes, but that won't be the case. Redolin trying to engage, but just can't seem to find a single frag. This could very much end up being a flawless round.
Maybe it's possible for him to win it before the plant goes down, but now it's surely an impossible task. Can't even find the first pick, and there finally, Wildcard get back in the game. A flawless round.
Yes, it is indeed, as finally Wildcard are showing their colors here. And their cards, technically, you could say. Stacking the deck for themselves within this round and evening out the scoreline. 2 apiece so far.
I feel like for Oddity here, because traditionally Villa is a defense-favored map, you probably should be seeing more defense rounds. One, yes. I'm kind of interested as to how this lack of Echo and Maestro is really going to affect that. I feel like you don't see that very often. We have the 3 big hitters that are always banned: Echo, Maestro, Mira. We saw Mira toyed with by Oddity when they were defending Stat Tree, and mind you, they did win that round just barely, and I don't think the Miras are really a part of that. I don't know, what do you do for Oddity? Because there is no real substitute for the Maestro and the Echo. You can try to get information gathering from your Valkyrie cameras, from a bulletproof camera, but it's not quite the same thing. Doesn't get as much information. The bulletproof cameras are much easier to destroy than the Maestro cameras.
Well, here really you do need to start looking. If you're looking for a replacement of utility, then probably the bulletproof cameras and Valkyrie cameras are your really biggest resort here. If you're looking for rather balancing out the firefight, then well, you still have the GIGN brothers, the Doc and the Rook, who have the fantastic weapon that is the MP5 with an ACOG.
Yeah, but what you're really missing without the Echo and Maestro is the utility, that information gathering.
Yeah, utility-wise, the main resort is just the Valkyrie cameras and the bulletproof, and they've used them a fair few times, though.
Yeah, the thing that makes the big difference with the Echo and the Maestro is they're very hard to destroy. And for Echo, it's because they're hard to find, and for Maestro, it's because they're actually hard to destroy. You need to use utility to get rid of them. Except for the fact that Wildcard's bring the sledge, so it wouldn't have made too much difference anyway.
Well, okay, here's how about this idea, though? If you want to replace Echo, use Lesion. Do you know why?
Because it's information gathering, you can choke up always.
Yeah, you could have the hallway check. The goo mines are also cloaked just like the Echo drone, and they still be able to deal some passive damage, which is exactly what they're doing right now here with Oddity. For the Maestro, yeah, that probably either Valcam or the bulletproof camera again. But with bulletproof camera, you need to be a bit more intricate about the positioning of the camera, just due to the fact that it's much more fragile comparative to the Maestro camera. So you need to either try to tuck it away or have something like a different distraction to keep the eyes essentially off the bulletproof camera.
So for this Aviator attack, Wildcard have taken control of the north side of the map, but they're still met with some contest. So Oddity are peeking from the objective. That's a really aggressive angle taken from inside of Aviator. They also don't have 90 control yet. Imarin's trying to take that now. He's got to deal with that bulletproof camera. Really great idea to change the location of that bulletproof camera so it's looking towards the east instead of the south. Means it's going to be much more, it's going to gain more useful information, and it's going to be harder to take out.
Certainly looks like it, just with the power of his mind, Imarin was able to destroy a little bit of that wall.
Looked like a headbutt.
Imagine though, if Sledge would just be able to just headbutt the wall. That would be funny though. But memes aside, so far still not a single frag to come out, albeit that Neo is quite low on health and all the very aggressive angles coming out. Right now, Neophyter's main objective is to try to utilize and disable as much of that EMP charges as much as possible. Vast will be trying to get that charge going, but the Artilla will be denied.
Yeah, great use of that utility, much better timed than previously. And Wildcard will open up that avenue. They don't actually want to open up a walkable hold, they just want to deny those positions inside of Vault. 30 seconds now. It looks like Wildcard just going to go for the exact same execute as they did previously. This gas being wasted nice and early is a good sign for Wildcard, but still already have so many players still up. That said, Ethan is going to take the one down, put them in good position. Ooh. Trying to come up for this flank, still contesting, but already are falling like flies.
Certainly are, and the pick from Todd should be able to thwart a couple of plays as well. Ethan being contested on a couple of angles, but right now Todd is being in a bit of a very precarious position. Oddity is the one that potentially to deny, and the plan will be finally now starting to go down. Nobody's watching the planner as well. Ethan will need to pick himself back up as Imorin will finally be able to plan things down, and Vinny does manage to land the headshot on Imorin.
It's a 1 versus 1, and Ethan only has 5 health. Vinny's going to try to fake it, but the Leisure Mine is enough to finish him off. And we thought that Zofia could withstand death, but she can't withstand a tiny little spike on the floor. A nice little clutch from Vinny, especially as Oddity were in a 3v5 with so little time remaining.
And there's that passive damage as well that I've been mentioning before. Legion doing pretty much wonders right now for Oddity, even considering the fact that they were at an initial disadvantage. Fantastic shots from Vinny as well, I might add. Being able to kind of clutch things out, being able to position the goo mines pretty well, and all in all, bringing his team back to the point lead, really.
Yeah, we are still on the final round of the first half here on Oddity's defensive half. No overtime, of course, here in the Pro League rule set. So this is the last round. We'll see Oddity on the defense. Wildcard shouldn't be too unhappy, I think, with 4-2 if they lose this round, but
probably the comfort ground will be though the 3-3 though.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it would put them on the back foot. It would put them in a position where you'd likely see maybe a draw come out at the end of the game. But I wouldn't count out Wildcard yet. They do seem to just be doing the same kind of thing over and over. They're not really changing anything. And Oddity are making those micro changes throughout the rounds. For example, in that previous round, they played way less aggressive early into the round so that they didn't lose players straight up.
Yeah, that was what was pretty much plaguing them during, I believe that was the 4th round, is that they kept on attempting to take a fair few gunfights in a 1v1 fashion, and that's not what you do, especially against Wildcard.
I mean, it worked the first time Oddity did it on that Aviator bomb site. They won the round by taking early gunfights with the Roam, but they changed their mind. They said, look, Wildcard, eventually they go for their execute, but if we have the numbers, we can actually match them in refrag, which was kind of what happened at the end. When Wildcard were going for that plan, Oddity had so many players up, they still had study control. They just went and started taking these gunfights. Wildcard didn't have enough to overcome that. Wildcard was so short on players by the end of it. It was a 1v1.
Yeah, it was a sheer as well lack of the utility with the fact that Thatcher used up all of his 3 EMP grenades just to counter the Kaya trick, which I mean,
I don't think that was fine. I didn't think the EMPs were useful anywhere else, really.
Well, he could have used at least one of them to essentially go for attempt to maybe deny some of those blue mines.
That was really poorly timed there with that Thatcher EMP and the Hibana pellets. Lost one set of Hibana pellets. But doesn't seem to matter. There's no Bandit ready to Bandit trick that mirror window. And so Todd takes an aggressive position, takes down the Thatcher. And this isn't even near the bomb site. Oddity just trying to have some presence over in Aviator towards Study, and it seems to be working so far.
I like that bait, by the way, by Todd. He managed to bait in a quick peek, letting Wildcard think that, hey, we managed to spook off the Valkyrie from that spot, so nobody will be peeking it. But no, Todd was already on the case, and he was waiting for that exact moment.
So Wildcard will have to turn their attention to this master side. Last time they got a player C4'd through the floor. No doubt Oddity have some information here inside a master. Whether that's a Valkyrie camera, it could even be a hacked Mozzie drone.
Yeah,
they should have information on where this Wildcard push is coming from, and it's very slow so far for Wildcard. They're just going to slowly drone up this south side of the map, try to get control of Master.
I mean, so far, Wildcard has been pretty much showcasing where exactly they're going to be pushing, and so far they've been delegating it pretty clearly.
And Todd is still allowed to play aggressive inside of Aviator. He just snuck up on one player who was droning, got that first kill, and this roam is completely uncontained by Wildcard so far. 3 players left, and they haven't even found this first pick. They do eventually get Oddity, or Todd rather, Toddity, but there's so many players, so much work to do, and it's just nothing is working well for Wildcard right here. Oddity are uncontained.
Certainly are, and it seems that they are just in their pretty much prime element here. Certainly looking down at the 4-2 scoreline for themselves at the end of the first half, but it seems that we're still managing to play out a couple of maybe good peaks, but it seems that all will be going down in favor of Oddity. Vinny to make the plays at the end of the round and to seal things up for the first half. 4-2 in favor of Oddity Esports.
So Wildcard really having a struggle here, and it's some basic stuff as well. Not expecting common angles, not little miscommunications with the timing of some utility. We've seen that multiple times, but the crux of it is not being able to deal with roamers, information gathering, whatever it is. They just don't have an idea of what Oddity's doing. Oddity take a look at Wildcard and say, okay, you do this exact same thing every time. Well, we're just going to bring a counter to that.
Well, yeah, with Wildcard, they did have a successful round on round 4 and 2, I believe, where they did manage to score those points. And they were able to out a fair few roamers by just essentially forcing them to challenge them on a 1v1 fight. And things were not working out all well. Whereas on the side of Oddity, they were able to just lure gradually the attacking side in very slowly and pretty much exactly where they needed them. Case in point, that very same peak by Todd. The moment the mirror window got destroyed, he still kept his position. He managed to get that kill on Sledge. either Sledge or Thatcher, and just kept on playing his ground because he still was very, very confident about his plays. And Specca pointed that out as well, like you mentioned before. If you're confident in your plays, if you know you can connect those shots, go for it.
Yeah, that's definitely part of it. And Wildcard not really being prepared for a lot of these common positions from Oddity is not characteristic of Wildcard. They're usually a very thorough team, but right now they're taking a lot of time, but they're not actually being thorough. They're missing things. Taking a lot of time to try to be thorough, but they're still missing out on little things. That said, on their defense, their first defense here, they will go downstairs. Less predictable bomb site. They also 6-picked onto the pulse, so Oddity might not be aware of that information gathering. Decent amount of information gathering for Wildcard as well, and a lot of vertical holes. So if they can retake this master area, if Oddity aren't so good at holding their flanks after they take the top floor, this could work very well for Wildcard to deny that plant.
Well, probably the big player right now for Oddity's flank watch will be that duo of Nomad and Gridlock, really. As we saw that same thing to be picked by Fnatic in the previous matchup, which was working out pretty well, all things considered. I'm curious to see as to how will Wildcard be able to counter this, especially considering that Oddity also brought in once again the counter in the face of IQ. So she could technically still be able to track some of the movement of the SWAT player, SWAT operator, and as it stands, really, it's just Oddity needs to keep their wits together, really, out here.
Good information being gathered by Wildcard with those Mozzie drones, but it is being cautiously countered here by Oddity as they make their approach. One player downed outside. That's a bit of a rip. He fell off the roof by the looks of it. So he'll get revived, but that does waste a lot of time. Man, that's a rookie mistake. You don't see that very often.
Maybe it was a little bit too concentrated on holding an angle, but as it stands, really, the breach is already happening. And Neofighter is gone and out from this round, albeit that the time plentifully has been wasted.
What an unfortunate miss there from God Legion. And Wildcard are slowly retreating back. They've sacrificed his top floor control. They've lost one player in the meanwhile as well. Losing that man advantage makes it much more difficult to go for that late flank later. But wouldn't be surprised if they do try to make it happen. They're just holding now on site. Oddity have to make the next move, and Wildcard will play reactively around that.
Certainly looks like it with man advantage, albeit that not the healthiest man advantage. It would still be going in. The flashbangs come out and already being able to drain some of the C4s as well will be definitely putting Wildcard at a disadvantage. I do believe they still have 2 more C4s to roll with. But as it stands, Todd is already pushing up the pantry stairs. Vinny will be able to take out Ethan to cover the back, but as it stands, just Oddity collapsing. Wildcard all up to Diesel to try to bring this back with the SMG-11. Can he land those shots? Because the diffuser will be landed and planted. And as it stands, things are looking a little bit grim.
And it doesn't work out for Wildcard. A great take from Oddity. All came down to that file-in from the kitchen doorway. Especially cover from Vinny was essential. Landed 2 swift headshots with the commando. And wow, I'm actually really surprised that managed to happen. Oddity kind of just, okay, we got control of top. We're not really going to use the vertical play. We're just going to walk in and shoot the players who are on the bomb site. Really great job. I wonder from Wildcard, did they expect that their positions weren't droned out? Did they expect that they didn't need to go for a re-roam? It's, I'm not sure what happened, but we're looking really good for Oddity right now. This is a 5-2. They've won. Now the first round of attack as well, on top of a staunch lead from the defensive half. 5-2 is looking to be very good. They could certainly run away with some points here.
Oh, they definitely would run away. I do think that this is definitely in the realm of possibility.
To put things into perspective here, Oddity's Esports have never made it to an APAC LAN event before.
Imagine they would make it here instead of Wildcard.
That's the wrong button there, Neo.
Nearly pressed it, but...
So, yeah, like we were saying, Oddity Esports, their first ever LAN event was at the Six Masters at Melbourne Esports Open just recently.
Yeah.
And they actually played really well at that LAN event. They played against Fnatic in the quarterfinals, and they got the first map, which was this map right here, Villa. And they played 2 more, and they did lose. But they put a good fight to Fnatic, and we saw the same from Wildcard in the grand final later. Neither of them were able to beat Fnatic at that LAN event, though. Wildcard, they have so much LAN experience. They've been time and time again to these APAC LAN events alongside Fnatic, been to the APAC qualifiers for Raleigh, Paris, Six Invitational, and they've always fallen short. And it looks like, it has looked like Wildcard are finally on the up. But there's still a chance they might not make it to this season's APAC LAN if Oddity step up and take their place.
Interestingly enough, though, so here's a food for the thought. So if Oddity does take this round, and will be boosting away with 3 points, if Wildcard come back on the second map and make it, say, I don't know, 7-1, and take the map number 2, they still will be able to claim the spot above Oddity just due to the round difference.
Yeah, but if Oddity do win a whole game, even if Wildcard then wins matches later, if they end up on the same amount of points, the fact that Oddity's won the game will break that tie based on a head-to-head win. You can see Oddity trying to open up some angles onto the pool site, but it was denied. I believe an impact grenade destroyed one of those Hibana charges. Godlegion trying to push him downstairs, but there is a player just nearby. It's Ethan holding down.
Ethan could make such a big difference right now here if he will be able to shut down the ground floor clearing. There is 2 players, and that gridlock needs to be getting rid of very quickly. She will be caught off guard. Nice play from Ethan, but can he connect onto the IQ as well? There's the pre-fire to come around, but he needs to play it very carefully here.
He does get the opportunity to reposition as well. I don't think Oddity are going to hunt him completely downstairs. So they'll have to leave him for now. Ethan, if he has information on the bomb site, which he likely does, he can also use his C4 to deny plant later in the round. It's going to be very difficult if Oddity decide to just ignore him, but they do find Diesel. That's the smoke, so no more gas canisters to delay time. Oddity are going to rely on Vast downstairs to hold this flank, but so far, Ethan's not playing aggressive. Imarin holding fast on site, so 45 seconds, and Oddity have the numbers disadvantage.
Certainly do, and the time is also running short, so they will need to start going for that push very quickly. Another Gumine to come out just to warn essentially about the push, and there's a close angle from Derpe. Will be able to play this out very well, leaving it in a 2v4.
Aggressive peek as well from Imarin. Leaves just Redolent in a 1 versus 4. Not likely to get anything out of that. Wildcard, fortunately, back in the game.
Certainly are. 5-3 scoreline, so only 2 rounds away from making it back to a draw with a 5 apiece, but
it's still looking pretty scary though for Wildcard, because Oddity are 1 round away from getting that first point, forcing the best that Wildcard can do to be a draw. And Wildcard really want to be racking up as many points as possible, especially against teams like Oddity, because if there's any team who's going to steal Wildcard's place at the APAC finals, it's going to be Oddity or potentially Mindfreak. Now, keep in mind, the standings we have currently, Wildcard and Oddity are both on 16 points.
Yeah.
But Oddity has played more games so far. So Wildcard have the potential to win, on top of these, well, they have a potential to win 18 more points in the remaining 3 games that they'll have to play, 3 opponents they have to verse each time they'll play 2 games. Whereas Oddity, they've just got these 2 games tonight against Wildcard, and then 2 games next week as well against Fury.
Yeah, so against Fury, I do think that Oddity's odds will be stacked in their favor. Looking at the nice scoreline here, Vinny is the man to lead the charge here with Godlegion and Todd.
And to put things into perspective, right, let's assume that Oddity beat Fury. They get their 6 points there. Let's assume that Wildcard beats Cryptic in the final week of Pro League. They get their 6 points there. Then both of these teams will be on the same number of points. Wildcard, if they don't beat Fnatic, if they lose all the points for Fnatic, then it's going to come down to just this game. And who gets the most points in this game, or who wins the head-to-head result in this game. So these teams are so very close. If Wildcard can't beat Fnatic, and assuming both of these teams beat their other opponents, this game could absolutely make the difference between which one of these teams makes it to APAC Finals.
Well, this will be sealing a whole lot of deals, so let's keep our heads tuned in as the action phase of round 9 is starting up. Oddity Esports bringing in just a slightly different setup, this time bringing in another hard breacher just in case. Whereas on the side of Wildcard, there will be a bandit still, slightly less of a roaming utility up and around, minus the Mozzie, but certainly could pull off quite some nice anchor plays up and around, as it seems that Ethan is prompting to stay around the site here.
Ooh, okay, that impact grenade missed the thermite charge, but the second one gets it. Just means he won't have another another impact grenade to deny the next thermite charge. So this one should go off, and okay, so he's not going to place it. Okay, he's going to do the left side. So Oddity Esports shouldn't be too worried about losing this, losing that first thermite charge. Ooh. Oh, no, that was so close. Holding his breath. Neophyter gets taken out by the thermite charge, fully blind and just unable to get that banner trick. Oddity Esports now not only have that control of Aviator and games, but they also have a numbers advantage. 5 versus 3. Wildcard have to step up right now. Otherwise, Oddity are going to be on 6 points. And Wildcard, the best they'll be able to do this game is a draw.
Yeah, they certainly do need to step up. Diesel in a bit of a peculiar positioning. He could be able to deny a little bit of that extra droning, but it seems that it might be all coming down to how well Ethan can hold his position, because currently Derpe is on the flank and will be playing from below, so potentially he might be the deal breaker here. But with so much time left for Oddity Esports, the play might not be it, really.
Red getting that diffuser down, and it gets planted too. Everything's working for Oddity right now. Diesel can find one, and Derpe jumps into the fray. Still 3 players to find for these last 2 players on Wildcard. Diesel, I know you're good, but surely you have to pull out something amazing to make this happen. 3 players to find. Just playing the slow game. He still has 2 more gas canisters. He can deny some of these positions, but that's a flank watch. And Oddity Esports go on to match point here on Villa.
Match point indeed. They literally a single round away from gaining the 3 points of what is considered one of the best teams in ANZ. And for Wildcard, yes, it is their debut as a new, well, under a new banner. Things might get a little bit heated up here. Like you described before, this could be the deal breaker closer to the end of the Pro League, and big props so far for Oddity. They coming in extremely prepared on Villa, whereas on the side of Wildcard, things are a little bit hard and spooky.
This is actually looking really good for Oddity right now.
Oh yeah.
The 2 teams that they've got to have their eyes on to try to steal away their APAC final spots, it's going to be Wildcard and Fnatic. Fnatic now have the most points in the league with 19 after their wins today against Mindfreak. But if Oddity Esports wins this game, they will then jump up to 19. If they win the next game or get a draw against in the second game, then they'll jump in front of Fnatic. If it's a draw between Oddity and Fnatic, Fnatic do have the upper hand because they have the head-to-head result. But if Oddity Esports takes some games away here from Wildcard and Fnatic are going to play next week. They're the 2 teams that Oddity Esports wants to leapfrog. If both of those teams if one of those teams takes the 3 points, the other one takes the 0, it's going to be really looking pretty good for Oddity to jump in and take one of those 2 spots. And honestly, I mean, I thought about the possibility of it happening. I'd entertained the idea, but I hadn't actually thought, wait a second, Oddity can make APAC finals, and it's not.
They can certainly make it.
It's not unlikely. And now that this result we're looking at right here, that's just starting to sink in.
Certainly is. As Oddity is definitely exceeding all of the expectations, both from us and statistically, as well as the Twitter poll showed that there was a favor for Wildcard, but not that much of a difference, really. There was a 16% for draw and 39% for Oddity, and it seems that the 39% is feeling extra lucky today.
Oddity definitely have a lot of fans out there, and, well, they're doing them proud right now. Still, the game's not over yet. They've got their 1 point. It's safe and in the pocket. They can't lose this game. They know they can, at worst, draw it, but Wildcard will certainly be hungry for that. Oddity Esports want to come away with 3 here. That's really what they need to try to take that leapfrog over either Fnatic or Wildcard. A thermite charge placed on the floor. This is going to try to destroy the lower portion of this wall to clear out that Roma inside of... Oh, the Bandit trick's not going to work. But a peek from elsewhere takes down Neophyter. Good position from 90, shooting through that wall.
Yeah, so the thermite charge actually did not open up the hole in the wall like they wanted it to, but it definitely allowed the player of Oddity Esports, that is Vast, to take the shot at the Bandit. So that is intrinsically does make it a 4v5 just like that. Wildcard on the back foot, and only a single round away from losing at least 1 point. Well, at this point, 1 point for themselves.
Still a lot of time left to work with. I wouldn't count Wildcard out yet. That first pick doesn't mean everything.
Certainly doesn't, as for now, they're just setting up the flank watch, just making sure that they have everything set up before the actual main push will commence. Derpe on the ACOG dock should be able to deal plentiful of damage on the long range, but if the collapse will be done right by Oddity, this wouldn't even matter, because right now I do believe that the control of the master bedroom has been actually given away to the attacking team.
Derpe was playing an aggressive position. The bullet holes are too good at the moment, but God Legion can't find that shot. No damage done either way so far. This looks like the execute may well come out shortly for Oddity. God Legion still on the other angle. Todd trying to push in from Astro, and things are looking so good for Oddity. Derpe, though, with a big double kill, not seen inside of Statuary as they just walk on past him. Everything's looking good all of a sudden for Wildcard, and thank you, Diesel. Thank you, Emorin. Wildcard is still in this game.
They certainly are, as initially the whole situation for Wildcard seemed like it would be all done and dusted, and Oddity would be the one to scrape away with 3 points, but it certainly is not the case right now, ladies and gentlemen. Wildcard is still staying in for, at the very least, one more round, 4-6, and they will be attempting to fight for as many rounds as they possibly can, really.
Just 2 more to get that 1 point on the board. If Oddity can get this one, though, that really is looking so good for them. They'll join Fnatic in the first spot, and then it'll come down to the next map that we play between these two teams and Wildcard's performance next week. And of course, both of these teams' performance next week, I guess.
Yeah.
We are making some big assumptions here that Oddity is going to beat Fury, Wildcard's going to beat Cryptic, but I think there's some point where you have to start to normalize some of the variables and not, you can't predict everything. So
yeah.
we can, assuming that, then this match is super important for which of these teams go through.
Well, at this point, really, the whole second half of the Season 10 is certainly being very important for all of the teams, really, so far. Even the storyline between the Fnatic and Mindfreak was as important, pretty much, with every round counting.
We did see Mindfreak put up a really good fight earlier today against Fnatic, and that match and this one, of course, with Oddity's performance thus far against Wildcard really goes to show that we have tight-knit competition here in ANZ. It's not just a write-off for Fnatic, not just a write-off for Wildcard either. There are 2 spots up for grabs at the APAC finals, and it's not written on the wall yet which of these teams will make it there.
Not at all, considering the fact that even within the boundaries of APAC land, each and every region has been developing very well, be it Japan, be it Southeast Asia, be it even Korea. Cloud9 has been making some of the statements, and even when they do lose, they seem to be returning back, learning something a little bit new, a little bit something extra spicy.
So this round is still essential for Wildcard to come away with a point. I feel like Oddity are really... Oddity almost want this more than Wildcard do, because if Wildcard lose this, they still have 2 more, not only a game against Oddity, but 2 more opponents that they can face where they can rack up a lot of points. But Oddity, they really need to get this game if they want a chance at making APAC finals.
Yeah, this is their ticket to potentially getting there, albeit that the end result will be depending essentially on how will their opponent team, aka Wildcard, will perform. It's still nonetheless a very mattering game here.
So this is the kitchen defense, a lot of top floor control for Oddity. Everything looks pretty good so far. They haven't gotten any frags so far, clearing out these roamers. They're getting a lot of the pressure down onto those roamers, but haven't quite sealed the deal yet.
I am interested to see how will Derpe actually perform here, because he might be the one to change things up. His cardiac sensors should be able to give some good ideas about the positioning of the attackers, as well as the fact that he does have the Nitro Cell. Should be able to deny some of the breaching, and there it is. Only just a few did manage to explode, so that will allow to have some extra peaking point for Oddity, but not just enough.
So Oddity just trying to flush out those positions on the Statuary side. Neophyter does manage to find 1 kill. Things look to be a return for Wildcard, a return to form. But Oddity do find 2 picks In reply, it's a blitz into the side, and Diesel holding fast in Memorial. He cleans house here. Vinny and God Legion are out of the game. Is Diesel hungry for another? Todd doesn't care, but it's all going for Wildcard. We are all going the distance here, round number 12.
Round number 12 indeed. The final round of Villa that will be deciding whether Oddity Esports can finally score themselves 3 points or whether we will be seeing a draw to be added up to Wildcard, which would allow them to proceed technically a flawless season so far.
That's true. We haven't talked about that. Wildcard their current ranking is 5-1-0. 5 wins, 1 draw, no losses. If they lose here to Oddity, that is going to tarnish their perfect record. A draw, I mean, it's not great, but it's
not
better
great,
than a
but
loss.
it's better than the loss. Yeah, it's definitely better than the loss, and you still run away with some points. And as well as that, the round difference still stays. So if you end up on the same points, which if the draw will occur here, will still remain the same. Wildcard will still be above Oddity.
So the tiebreaker is a really complicated thing.
It will be, yeah.
The first thing that makes the difference is the head-to-head results. So between the two teams that you're trying to tie-break, which one actually won the game, or which one has won the most games between them. But if there's a tie, then obviously that doesn't matter. The next one is the round difference between the two teams. But if Oddity do get this map win here, that certainly not only projects them up with a couple points, but also puts them above in the head-to-head against Wildcard, which could definitely make the difference, because so far it's looking like Oddity, Wildcard, and Fnatic, even Mindfreak to some extent, are looking to be very close near the end of the season, vying for those top 2 to 4 spots.
Indeed. Well, final round, like we said, Wildcard need to play their cards right. Pun, I guess, kind of intended.
Kind of intended, yeah.
Yeah. With Oddity, though, they have been bringing the very same lineup over and over again, which kind of worked, but though as of recent few rounds, not really.
Yeah,
I'm curious what's the case here.
Oh, so many of the kills for Wildcard have been off stream, so we haven't really been able to see them. But this is Aviator Games. Oddity to be taking from the north side so far. There's a lot of anchors for Wildcard still on the bomb site. Looks like they're happy to play passive now. Wait to see what Oddity is going to bring for them.
I like how much slower Oddity are now playing. They're much more methodic about their approach. They're not being overly aggressive. They're not searching for that engagement. They're not searching for that flank. They just trying to poke away. They're trying to get rid of as much utility as possible, and they're being very, very patient about it. Whereas on the side of Wildcard, it also seems to be a little bit more quieter, but they do have all their setups. They do have the Valcams that completely remained ignored completely, and this would allow them to gain plentiful amount of information. There's the rappel as well, as Neofighter will be now knowledgeable about that. There is a person just outside of the balcony, and Imorin should enable him to go for that peek.
An aggressive play, a run out from Neofighter. Ethan's going to join him there, but Neofighter finds that kill. Nice idea, though, from Ethan to join him, just in case there was some contention. Eventually, though, God Legion does get that refrag. Nice idea, though. And this flank is made fully aware of. Vinny knows about this one. He's just waiting for that player to peek around the corner.
Yeah, it will be eventually just a game of who can stay on their position longer. And certainly right now, Vinny is quite dedicated. They want those points on the double. And losing Vast is definitely going to be a bit of an issue, considering the fact that Oddities are starting to run out of time slowly. And Red so thirsty about the positioning. Ooh! Vinny dealing some damage to Ethan, but won't be just enough to take him down just yet.
Still cautious of this flank watch, but I think Oddity does still have drones.
Boy.
Todd knows he needs to make an entry, and it's Red going in first. He gets taken down, but Todd's there for a good refrag. God Legion exposes his back, and he's gonna get the 180 flick, and then another one for God Legion. It's match point here for Oddity, and it looks like they might steal this away, but can Ethan deny the plant? He has a C4, but it's too late. He's already used it, and the shotgun can't make it happen. 1 versus 3, and you gotta retake.
He's got to retake him with minimal amount of HP as well. Things are looking all so grim as well. Why are you going for the run out? There it is. Does get detected though, so his position will be fully revealed to two fully healthy Oddity Esports players. They will be able to keep holding the angles, and the Track Stingers might be able to deal some damage, but so much area is being denied as well. Already a quarter remaining, and the damage from the Track Stingers will be completely ignored. Plentiful amount of angles as well to be held, and the plant down won't be disabled. No time. Oddity Esports claim 3 points, ladies and gentlemen.
And there you have Oddity Esports with their victory, taking down Wildcard in their first ever Pro League match under their new banner, taking down that full 3 points, keeping their dream of the APAC finals alive.
Certainly do. A single round difference, Dev. And Wildcard was so close to drawing it out. Nearly claimed themselves the 1 point, but look at this. 3 members of Oddity are on double digits. I think they deserve it.
Yeah, a very valiant effort from Oddity to keep that game going and plow through. They got to that early advantage onto their attacking half